This is Tracy Blums, and you're listening to the Bomber Buzz.
It's a great day in the Bomber Nation. You're listening to the Bomber Buzz. This is Principal Jacob Jenkins, joined as always by Dean of Students, Mr. Paul Rudolph. Paul, how are you doing today?
Real good day.
Well, football is just winding down. We're recording this early. We're still released on a Friday, but we're recording this on a Wednesday because this is a short week for us. No school on Thursday and Friday this week. So football ended, went out on a win, which is really nice to see. And volleyball season's starting to wind down. We still got a few games, though, Paul. What do we got coming up next week?
They do. It is winding down. Played our last district game. You know, not just the last, I guess, district game, but really the last district game for the 2-class system because we moved to the 3-class system next year. So it was, I guess it was the last district game for the old District 12 because we'll be moving into a different district next year. With the 3-class system, but we do play Monday, the 21st. Next Monday, we head to Kenmare, be a battle there because Kenmare's got a good, solid team. So we play Monday the 21st up in Kenmare, and then we play Thursday the 24th over at Ned Rose, who has another solid team. So it'll be a good test, good next week for the girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, just as you said, volleyball wound down, and junior high volleyball finished their last game yesterday against South Prairie. They had a good little season, and the elementary girls basketball team ended a week ago. So, yeah, this is kind of it'll be a slow week, I guess you could look at it as, with just the 2 girls volleyball games, one up in Kenmare, one in Ned Rose. And then, you know, we play, I think, rugby for senior night here that following week, and then districts also start that following week. So, yeah, we're getting down to tournament time here, and I guess we're getting also closer to the end of October.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'd like to think, real quick, I'd like to say a thank you to all the parents that came out to parent-teacher conferences here on the 15th. We had a really great showing, and we appreciate that you came in and met with your teachers. And it's really great having you guys here and being able to talk about school and what's going well and all of that. So thanks for coming for that.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was with the volleyball game and the amount of and the parents that rolled in. I thought it was just a good, vibrant.
Agreed. Yeah,
it was just kind of a good vibrancy when you're walking around the halls and seeing people. I really enjoyed it. I hope they did as well because it seemed vibrant, like I said.
Agreed. I will mention, too, next week, Wednesday the 23rd, the 1st District Health Unit will be at the school doing flu shots. If you would like to come in for a flu shot or would like to sign up your children or child for a flu shot, the link is on our live feed on our website to register for that. And again, those flu shots will be on the 23rd. Well, we've got a good episode for you here this week. We're going to meet with Sadie Lemere, and she is heading to National FFA Convention to compete in Parley Pro. And this is pretty exciting. They're going to be gone. FFA kids are going to be gone all next week. They're going to support Sadie as she competes on the national level. It sounds like the convention is huge, and we're really hoping that she does well and wishing her good luck on that. We're going to meet Drew Erickson as the football season's winding down. Drew is a quarterback, and we're going to kind of talk about football and about Drew a little bit. And we're going to do a little get to know Mr. Rudolph here today as well. So we can find out a little bit more about Mr. Rudolph.
You know, one quick little story on Sadie and the Creed is I was having lunch with some of the students yesterday, and I was sitting next to Asher, Sadie's younger brother.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we got Sadie. We're going to have Sadie on the Bomber Buzz, Asher, so you're going to have to make sure you listen. Talking about the Creed, and he's like, oh, I can almost say the Creed. I hear it so many times.
I bet.
And he did. He gave me the FFA Creed by I can't even think of who it was now again, E.F. Whitney or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, he said, you said it wrong, Mr. Rudolph. It was E.F. Hutton or something like, you know what I mean? And then he started giving it to me. I'm like, oh, you've listened to it then. She's been practicing. That's good stuff.
Oh, you guys are in for a treat. She gives us the first about paragraph, I think.
Yeah, really good.
She's so good.
Really solid. Yeah.
So good.
Really solid.
Yeah, hey, we're trying to expand our listenership here. If you know someone that might be interested in listening to Bomber Buzz, please just let them know about us. They can find us just by searching Google or on the front page of our website. And if you're listening on somewhere where you can like and subscribe, go ahead and do that. You'll be notified of all of our new episodes. So we got a bunch coming up. Stick with us. We'll be right back on the Bomber Buzz. H&L Safety and Supply has everything you need to run a proper work site. Tools, lighting, porta-johns, and more. Purchase or rent the things you need. H&L Safety and Supply is a family-owned business that exemplifies small-town values. For over 13 years, they have been serving their clients with top-notch customer service and excellent equipment. For all your worksite needs, call H&L Safety and Supply at 701-624-2183. H&L Safety and Supply is a proud sponsor of the Bomber Nation.
This is Mrs. Daniel with your fun fact for the week. Did you know that each foot contains 26 bones, 33 joints, and over 100 muscles, ligaments, and tendons, with both feet totaling 52 bones, or about 25% of total bones found in the entire body? Make sure you wear good shoes. Now you know.
We're back on the Bomber Buzz, and here with us today is Sadie Lemere. Sadie, you next week are heading out to Nationals to compete, FFA Nationals, is that right?
Yes.
So tell us about your event and how this came about that you got to go to Nationals.
Okay, so it's the FFA Creed, which is 5 paragraphs about like what FFA kids believe in. And then they ask you 3 questions about things in the creed, and you can just answer with personal experience and stuff. And how I did it is first we had a little competition here with people in our class doing the creed, and Mr. Rudolph judged that, and then he chose who went to districts, and then I ended up winning at districts, so we went to state and competed again. And at state, they took the top 4 finalists to do it like in front of all the people at state, and I was one of the finalist people, and then I ended up winning when they announced that, so that's how I get to go to Nationals.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the district level, how many people did you compete against? And on the state level, how many do you think?
At districts, I think there was only like 8-ish people because we have a small district.
Sure.
But at state, I don't know, but like a lot more than that. Yeah.
At least 16 or 20, I suppose,
Yeah.
if there's a couple people from each district.
Yeah, 2 people from each district.
Yeah, because didn't we look it up? Wasn't there
it's 8
or 10
districts.
8 or
so,
8? Yeah, 8 districts.
So at least 16. I mean, that's pretty great.
Well, it's state champ, man. Let's go.
Yeah, woo.
Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about, so how do you prepare for Parley Pro? Like, what do you do to get into your zone or to practice?
To practice, so I just first, had the creed memorized, and you have to do like hand gestures and stuff like that. So I practiced that and like walking and just practice the steps. I don't know. You just kind of go with the flow when it happens.
Sure.
And then the questions, I have like note cards for each question with some bullet points that I want to like talk about. And I've just been practicing those too. But yeah.
So is the questions then more open-ended? Like you can respond how you feel to that question as opposed to it's not a rote.
Mm-hmm. It would be like, why do you believe in the future of agriculture or something like that related to the FFA Creed?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you know the questions ahead of time?
No, it's 3. There's like options. There's like 25, 30 questions that they can kind of pick out of, but they do 3 different ones like each competition.
Okay, so you've got to kind of prep a lot because you got to have a lot ready, but they're only going to take a small amount.
Yeah, but you kind of can have some like information that you can use on multiple questions in your brain. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what questions are you hoping, like what do you feel that you're strongest in?
I like the one that's like define honest wealth. I feel like I have a good answer for that one. Or like why do you believe in the future of agriculture? Yeah. I don't know. There's just some that I like more than other ones.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. So what day do you leave?
We leave the 20th.
Leave the 20th. What day do you compete?
The 23rd, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like there's a preliminary round with like 8 groups of 5 to 8 people, and then top 2 from that go to the semifinals, which is 2 groups of 8 people, And then the top 2 in each of those groups go to the finals, which is 4 people.
Okay. And is all that on the same day?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So you could be a busy day.
That's a full
Yeah.
day.
I imagine we're expecting you to be a busy day. That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Is it is the competition right at the stadium, right at the Lucas Bird Stadium, or do they do it somewhere else?
I think so. I don't know. Me and Miss Philippek are talking more about it later today. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that'll be a heck of an experience no matter what. And then now when you're is it in front of a lot of people, or is it kind of like just talking to the judges, or is it an open event where people can come and watch and view?
I think it's just the judges for the first few, like maybe a few people could come watch, but with like the 4 finalists at the end, that's in front of like a huge crowd of people. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That'd be pretty great.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Have you, I don't even know how I'm going to ask that question for sure, I guess, but like, when not just preparing, but have you kind of visualized in your mind just a big crowd as you're talking to them?
I mean, I don't know, kind of, maybe. I think just look over the people's heads, so then it's fine. Just don't stare at them, and I won't get nervous, hopefully.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being nervous. That means you care, and that means that it's important to you. And
That's right.
That's how I look at nervousness. I mean, I don't look at it as a bad thing. It's how you control that. But we expect. I mean, you're too good a person and too good a student not to go out and compete well. We're
Crush it, yeah.
yeah.
Thanks.
We know you're going to do fantastic, and we're proud of you no matter what.
Thank you.
So could you hit us up with a little bit of your memorized, just a first little bit?
Sure. The FFA Creed by E.M. Tiffany. I believe in the future of agriculture, with a faith born not of words, but of deeds, achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturalists in the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. That's like the first paragraph.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is, because you put such good vibrancy into it.
Yeah, right?
It's
Like
just-
your voice is alive.
Yeah,
and
it's
you,
just-
you got
yeah.
passion behind it. That's
Yep,
great.
Yep. Gets your heart going right away.
Yeah,
I like
right?
it. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
No, it's going to be fun, Sades. We're excited for you.
Yeah, we're very happy. Sadie, next week, you guys FFA will be heading down. She'll be competing, as she said. And hopefully we'll be reporting some really great news. Sadie, anything you'd like to tell people about FFA or anything else?
Just join FFA. It's really fun. There's lots of opportunities. You don't have to live in an agricultural family. There's lots of stuff you can do, which is great.
Awesome.
Good deal. Thanks.
Well, we got more coming up on the Bomber Buzz here shortly. SandPro is a leading sand filtration specialist who uses cutting-edge wellhead technologies and automatic solutions to keep at the forefront of innovation in the oil field automation sector. SandPro prioritizes the rural values of safety, integrity, quality, commitment, and teamwork. Learn more about how SandPro supports local communities and the environment by visiting sandpro.com. SandPro is a proud sponsor of the Bomber Nation. We're back on the Bomber Buzz, and today we are talking football. Our season just ended. We had a really nice win here to cap our season off. And joining us here is Drew Erickson. Drew, welcome to the Bomber Buzz.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really great to have you here with us. So tell us a little bit about the football season from your perspective here.
Well, we just came short of our goal on the year, but we'll bounce back for next year.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
What would you say are some of the highlights of your year?
Well, being part of this team, we got a good group of hardworking guys. Always come ready to compete, ready to work. And just a good group of guys.
Yeah. What kind of things do you do? Like, let's tell our listeners, they might not know, you guys put in a lot of work, not just during the football season, but throughout the year. So what are some of the things that you guys do to prepare and keep fit for football?
Well, we do weights year-round, including summer, and that helps a lot. All of us do weights, and I try to throw at least every day, including the summer, from May to now.
Sure.
Yep.
And you guys do that, you're up early, right?
We do. Yeah, those guys, I mean, these guys put in a good commitment, right? I mean, we're pretty, I guess, lax, if you want to use that word, for when we start, because we don't have during the school year, just as long as they're done by 8:00, right? But if I'm there about 6:30, and there's some that get there about 6:30. There's some that come at about 6:40, 6:45. Some that come about 7. And I'm not too worried about when they start. It's just get your work done and get back to class or get to class. Get your get breakfast, get showered up, and get to class by 8:30. So, but some of them they got a half-hour drive. Some got a little further drive even to get here.
Yeah, Drew, you got a bit of a hike.
Yeah. So yeah, those guys, getting here at 6:30, that means they left the house at 6, and they put in a good shift. That's for sure.
So Drew, tell me what about football really drives you to be a part of it? What do you really enjoy most about being a part of the Bomber Nation football?
I like winning. That's the main thing. Big fan of winning, and I like being a leader to these guys. I like proving to these guys that we can do it. It's possible to do it, and trying to just get the best out of them.
Yeah, that's great.
It is. And, quick story about Drew, but, he's our quarterback right at the moment, but for the last couple of years, and, never played football till he was a freshman.
Really?
Right. And, even terminology was a foreign word for him. So just some of the things and how far he's come and how much, the just kind of proves the point that if you put in some work, you can get respectable at just about anything.
For sure.
And it's a tribute to a lot of those guys. Not just Drew, but a lot of those guys that put in good time and try to make themselves better and for themselves and, really for the most part for the team.
Yeah. So let's talk highlights, Drew. What for you is one or two highlights of the whole season here?
Oh, it's hard not to say that last game. That last game was pretty fun, beating Towner.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun playing offense. And then the homecoming game was pretty fun, too.
Yeah.
And then Hay Harvest Bowl was the atmosphere. That was good. Getting all those people there.
Yeah.
Probably had about 500 people there.
Yeah, that was full. Right?
Yeah, it was a good crowd. I mean, it was one of the bigger crowds I've ever been around as far as, here in Berthold, without question. Just the amount of people around this whole field and the cars and the tractors and the combines and all the other different things that just add to the ambiance of the evening. But even the ticket takers that night were telling me, she's like, Paul, they just kind of stopped coming through the gate and just started taking the ditch, and, because parking was at a premium, right?
All of a sudden.
But yeah, it's hard to not say that was a pretty special evening. Just all the different people that are involved in that making of that thing. It's certainly a community event. And it encompasses our entire team and even, some of last year's team, parents and all that kind of stuff that bring stuff, and the FFA and the FFA kids that bring animals. And it's really a true school-wide community event. Turned into a really nice deal.
Yeah. So, Paul, since Drew just started 9th grade, you've got to really be with him for his whole career. What are some ways that you've seen him kind of develop and grow? Well,
I think the big thing that I've seen him grow is just his work ethic has improved so much, right? His desire and work ethic and where he was at, basically ground zero, right? And, now we're a very adequate football player. Still room to grow, right? That's the thing about competitive sports is we never really reach our pinnacle, right? It's always this constant state of evolution, right. And if we reach this goal, well, then now there's another one that's attainable, right? And and that's kind of where Drew's been on his steps, right? We've accomplished this one as a 9th grader. As a sophomore, we made this jump, and then we made a big jump this year through his junior year, and we're looking for an even bigger jump, moving into next year. So, but I also think the leadership thing has really changed,
Sure.
To where he was scared to lead, and I'm not. But he's scared.
It can be very intimidating.
Right? Maybe
that's that kind of.
Maybe that sounds like a harsh word, right? But it's the truth. He was kind of, he wasn't going to say anything. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and it's like, the quarterback can't be that guy. And this year we saw a complete evolution and a really positive evolution towards leadership and the right type of leadership, and to be vocal, but at the same token to be a guy that can do it by example as well. I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen here in the last particularly the last year. And then just the fact that he puts work into it, right? You know, he's working on his feet, working on his mechanics. I mean, all that stuff goes hand in hand, and he's playing 3 sports, plays baseball in the summertime included. So he stays active. I mean, I'm a firm believer in guys staying and gals staying active and competing. It's just such a good benefit to you when you can do stuff like that. And you know, the other thing is I always tell them, it's like, hey, they don't let you play past 18. You know, I mean, so it's like enjoy every chance you get. It's like, my goodness, you don't see a pickup game of football taking place anywhere unless it's organized game, right? You just don't see it. You know, you might see an organized softball game or a YMCA basketball game you can go get involved in, but you know, football's different, man. When you're done with your high school careers, they just, you know, there's really nowhere else to play, so you got to enjoy your time.
So, Drew, you're a junior this year, senior year coming up next year.
Yep.
What are some things that you're going to try to work on here as you look far down the road for next football season?
Well, my main goal is just to make the playoffs next year. I want to get that done before I leave.
Yep. So what do you need to do that?
We got to lock in. We got to have a good 8-month off season and work really hard to get there.
Yeah.
Continue in the weight room, and
I mean, that's certainly attainable, I think.
Yeah,
it's attainable. We were within a whisker. That was our goal this year too, right? Is we want to get in the playoffs, and it's not an easy task.
No,
you know, we kind of have a motto. We operate by challenge accepted. We know we're the smallest school in the state as far as 9-man football goes, smallest numbers, but that's part of why we also challenge ourselves to do this. Let's get it done and see what So yeah, it's still our darn goal. That's for sure. You know, and I mean, you could argue that, you know, you should have taller goals, but really we've got to attain that one before we can move anywhere else. So it's, you know, that's the first step in it. We're doing all the other things that you think you need to do to get to that goal. But that's the goal we're shooting for. And, you know, if the regions change like we expect them to, we got to finish in the top 4 in the region next year. And, you know, that's a tall task as well, but we think we're up for it.
You know, Drew, one thing that you kind of talked about and Mr. Rudolph talked about as well is about leadership. And I do know that your leadership has really been noticed and appreciated by the people under you. I've heard kids talk about, oh, Drew saw this or you know, he said, good job to me. And it's amazing how much that means to somebody. And so good on you for taking on that role. And, you know, when we're being a leader, we got to be at a higher standard because we're being watched, and that can be hard to do. I think you've been doing a great job as a leader, so good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that continue here. So what is next for Drew?
Oh, we got to focus on basketball.
Yep.
Prepare for baseball and still football all year round.
They just keep coming one after another, don't they?
It doesn't stop.
Yeah. Well, one of the joys of small school is that there's lots of opportunity to be involved. One of the hard things is that they need you to be involved. And so it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And that's all right, though. That makes us better people. And
that's the whole concept of challenge accepted, right?
That's right.
It's like, that's what we came up with that motto a couple years ago. And we kind of have lived by it.
Well, I think that's one of the areas that Class B shines is, you know, you can be involved in all of these things and be an integral part, be a leader, be a member, be a part. Bigger schools, you got to pick one. And even then, maybe you're not going to be the guy that's in that. So that's a strength, you know, we're creating well-rounded people.
Yep. Agreed.
So, all right, Drew, well, is there anything that you'd like to add here before we close this segment about yourself or about football?
I just think we should encourage everyone to play all 3 sports. I think it's important for everyone to play all 3 sports and not worry about being a good player, but be a good person in school too.
Agreed.
That makes it huge too. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Wise words there, man. Yeah. Well, Drew, thanks for joining us here. Again, that was Drew Erickson. Our football season has just wrapped up. In just a couple of weeks here, volleyball is going to wrap up, and then, hey, it's basketball, and basketball comes fast and furious, and I know everyone's really looking forward to that. So, Drew, thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me.
We've got more coming up on the Bomber Buzz. Sidelines Bar and Grill, located in downtown Berthold, is your go-to for a tasty meal and a cold drink. Come on down for lunch or after a hard day of work. From burgers and wraps to chicken strips, mozzarella sticks, and more, Sidelines will fill you up and satisfy your cravings. Enjoy great friends and conversation over a refreshing beverage or two. When you're looking for somewhere to relax, Sidelines Bar and Grill has you covered. Sidelines Bar and Grill is a proud sponsor of the Bomber Nation. We're back, and I'm here with Paul.
Yeah.
Mr. Rudolph,
Let's
I
go.
should say.
Yeah, I'm pretty informal. It doesn't bother me at all.
So I thought it'd be a good episode for I get to know you. So, Mr. Rudolph, could you tell us a little bit? You used to coach college football, and then you were down in Plaza for PE teacher, and then you're up here for Dean of Students. Can you just give us a little history of...
Sure. I'm a native of the northwest part of the state, grew up in Stanley, and folks still live out that way. And then I went to Minot State, and after Minot State, I spent a couple years at the University of South Dakota as what they call a graduate assistant, and got involved with the football program, and then got my master's degree in curriculum and leadership, educational curriculum and leadership.
Sure.
And then from there, I spent 10 years, at a school called Upper Iowa, and then we transitioned to St. Cloud State, and we spent 7 years there. And then we moved back this way, and I spent a few years, I think it was 7 more years at Minot State as the football coach there, and then transitioned over to the University of North Dakota, give Division I football a shot, and spent 5 years there, 5 seasons there. And then would move back and was kind of just, substitute teaching a little bit in Minot, wondering if I still wanted to stay in the business or not. And the family was not interested in staying in the business.
Sure.
They weren't interested in leaving anymore. So it kind of made my decision for me. And I was had enough of it too. I didn't know if I wanted to live in some Oklahoma town, some small Oklahoma town or Missouri town or whatever it was going to be. And, so I started substitute teaching, and then, one day I'm like, God, maybe I should look for something full time. And there was a job in Plaza. It was kind of crazy, right? And this sounds crazy, but having grown up 40 miles from Plaza,
Right.
I had never been to Plaza.
Really?
Never, not one time. But they didn't have the sport. I was a wrestler in high school, so they didn't have wrestling. So
Yep.
there was no reason to be in Plaza. They didn't have football, so there was no reason for to be in Plaza.
Right.
And they had a few baseball players, but some of them played with us up in Stanley. Some of them played with the Berthold guys, and some of them played with the Partial guys. So one more reason, they were one of those three places.
There.
So we just never went to town. So I'd never been there. And I was interviewing with Janice and Mr. Ritteman, and gosh, I think Mr. Brown was on that call too, maybe. And they offered me the job, and I'm like, gosh, that sounds great. But you mind if I drive to Plaza first, because I've never been there?
go check it out.
But I had a good time. I had a great time. I really enjoyed. I taught PE down there, and really enjoyed my year. And the kids were fun, and I had a lot of. Like I said, I had a fantastic year. But then things changed, and the whole football thing was going to change. And I like coaching football. I mean, it's what I've been doing for so many years.
Sure.
And, so then Mr. Ritteman, offered me a job up this way, and it was, it just seemed like the next step in the evolution, if you will, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun up here. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. It's been great having you here. So what is it about football? I mean, it's been a huge part of your life. So what is it about football that really drives you?
It's everything. I mean, it's crazy. Like when you do something for, it's hard to, I guess, how to, to wrap my brain around to try to explain to people. But like when you're really involved, like winning becomes like, that's what you're judged on.
Right.
Right. You're judged on. Did
you win or not?
Yeah. Did your team win or not? And, sometimes I was the head coach at those places. Sometimes I was the offensive coordinator at those places, but it kind of consumes you, right? It's like, okay, what do we got to do? How do we got to get this guy to learn? How do we got to get this guy? What's the best way to teach him? What's the best way to teach him? And it becomes you're trying to master teach the game of football to a lot of different types of individuals and meld them into a team, right? And
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, all that stuff it still intrigues me, right? And it still intrigues me with, same thing is at this level, right? We're at a smaller level and we don't teach the same amount of plays. We don't probably teach the techniques some of them we teach real similar, right? We're probably not as in depth,
Sure.
Because we don't spend the amount of time, and most of our guys are offense, defense, so we can't get as.
You need a more broad.
We're probably
approach.
we touch on all of that stuff, but yeah, we're a much broader swath, right? Much broader approach, like you said. But it's still fun, right? It's still trying to match. It's kind of playing chess, right? Like I got to match this guy here, match that guy there. How can I get him help? How do you do this? It's consumed my life, right? I mean, it really has. Just the whole idea of how you teach it. It's similar to a classroom from that standpoint. But,
for sure, you're trying to find.
But you're always dealing in how do we get this guy to master teach him as the best of our ability, and then same thing. What might be good for that person, he probably isn't quite learning that way. Well, then we got to switch the style up with this guy, and I don't know, that stuff's just always intrigued me, and just the whole how do you manipulate offenses and defenses to force them to really think about and force their players, I guess, more so to how they got to think about things.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what else to say, and I've probably been mumbling and a bunch of jargon.
No, you're good.
But in my brain, it really sounds cool. But yeah, it's consumed me. I mean, it really has. I mean, it's consumed me for a long time. My mom says that's how I learned how to read. Because I would, there would be one game on Sunday afternoons, right? One of the NFL games, and I'd be watching the NFL games, and I knew his number and I knew his name because of the announcers. Well, then I would start spelling that, how his name was on the back of his jersey, right? And my mom swears that's how I learned how to read and write letters and stuff of that nature. So yeah, it's been
with you since
it was in my DNA for some reason.
Yeah. I thought I remember I want to say a couple years ago I'd just kind of met you and we're with a group of people and someone was like, "Well, what's your team?" And you're like, "All of them." They're like, "Well, you can't be all of them." You're like, "I love football." All of them. Yeah. I don't care. I just want to watch the game. I love watching the game.
It is. I don't like, people always still ask, who's your favorite NFL team? And I'm like, gosh, I mean, when you're coaching college football, right? Like every day is a work day.
Sure.
There's no weekends because you play on Saturdays and Sunday's a big work day. So yeah, I didn't watch much NFL once I got.
You're too into what you're doing.
I mean, we had to get ready for what we were doing the next week, and that's what consumes you. You don't, I hate to say, you almost quit living, right? Because you're consumed with what you're trying to get accomplished on Saturday.
Sure.
And that can tire you out, but it can also energize you. I mean, it's weird, right? But it can do both, right? Yeah. Like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, God dang, I'm tired. I got to get to bed, but you wake up the next day and it's like, okay, we got to get this going. We got to get this right.
Yeah, you're excited and ready.
So it can energize you as well, because it's just a passion. But yeah, I mean, I just enjoy football. Like even college, I love watching college football. I love it to this day.
Yeah.
Because there's so many vast different ways of moving the football or defending the game of football. And you can learn something from every one of them. You try not to have tunnel vision. Where you get to the NFL and they're kind of all cookie cutters. They all run the same stuff. They all try to do the same thing, and it's who gets the best quarterback. And I mean, don't take me wrong. If somebody offered me a shot to coach in the NFL, I'd do it. But but yeah, I would much rather watch a college game any day of the week. And like I said, I don't really care who's playing. I go watch the game. I mean, I go watch mine at High or mine at North or watch a playoff game somewhere, or if we're not playing. And it's not just my passion. I guess it's my hobby as well.
Sure. Well, that's great though. That's great. Something maybe our listeners don't know is you're pretty big into wrestling.
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's my other one, right? Like I am. Yeah, I guess if I get a little overboard, maybe, right?
I don't know.
Well, but it kind of corresponds too, right? But my dad was a wrestling coach for 35 years in high school, and he never wrestled a day in his life, right? And but it was back in those days. It was, hey, Jerry, if you want to move back to the farm, if you want to buy your uncle's farm, and you want this math job, then you're going to take the wrestling job, or else you ain't getting hired as the math teacher.
Right. You don't have a choice.
So that's kind of what they told him. And it's like, okay, so I remember all those books in that room where he was learning how to, teach wrestling from a bunch of different books.
Yeah.
And, but then he stuck with it for, 35 years and it's a tough, hard, physical sport, and it's just as much mental, probably, as it is physical. But I really admire those guys that can do it for so long and do it for so well, because it's really a lifestyle that they live, and it's a very mentally draining lifestyle, because it's the same thing. You're trying to do the best you can and be the best person they can, but so is the guy on the other side of the mat.
Right.
And you talk about just somebody getting a takedown here or a takedown there, and that's the difference in a match. And, I just admire that. So I didn't get an opportunity to do this when I was coaching college football. When I decided to get out, I got involved in officiating. So I officiate some wrestling around the area here. And, the Division I wrestling tournament rolls around, and it's usually corresponded with spring break in the small schools around here. So, there's a handful of us guys, and we get 8 TVs set up in my basement, and it's kind of like being at the national tournament. We've got our 8 TVs set up, and we have a good time those 3 days.
Yeah, that's a fun time. So let's shift gears a little bit here, Paul. You've been Dean of Students now for a couple years, and what would you say is like your guiding principle as Dean of Students?
Well, that's kind of a slam dunk. I guess the guiding principle has been kind of from day one is to give every Berthold student the best situation they can possibly have at the Berthold school, from kindergarten to 12th grade. And, I'm obviously not in the classroom teaching them on an every minute by minute basis, but when I get a chance to interact with them and to try to ask them how they're doing, how's the schoolwork going, maybe, sometimes I'll sit at lunch and ask the second graders and third graders, all right, what's 7 + 9? And it's just we're trying to have fun learning and thinking and, trying to have some fun with them and try to give them the best experience that they can possibly have, I think has been my guiding principle.
Yeah, I would say that definitely shows, positivity. You touched earlier on challenge accepted, and I think that's important when we're trying to teach the kids, hey, if the obstacle's in front of you, accept that and face it.
Yeah.
We're going to tackle that.
Right.
Get through that. What are some challenges that we want our kids to accept here and take on?
Well, the thing I've talked to the boys particularly about is just that we are low in numbers, right?
Yep.
I mean, we don't have a lot of boys. I mean, we've got, by the way the North Dakota High School Activities Association does their numbers, we were at 22.84 boys, based on, because they do some things with free and reduced and but I think we're at 24 or 25 boys, in our high school, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
Maybe it's 26 and 49, because I think we're at 75. It might be 26 and 49, but anyway, we got I think 19 or 20 of them out for football, and they're all trying to work and they're all trying to do the right thing and, just hang out with, and the whole challenge accepted is like, hey, we're the smallest 9-man school in the entire state.
In this whole state.
Whole state, and the next closest, we were sitting there at, like, let's just say 26. The next closest was 38.
So quite a bit more.
You know what I mean? We're talking
really,
12 boys. That's, and then we're playing, like, South Prairie had 80. You know what I mean? So we're 26 to 80. And, going out and competing and fighting and learning how to kick and scratch and not worrying about that. It's just, hey, it's challenge accepted. Let's go.
Yep.
This is what we're doing. We're going to keep football alive in Berthold. We're going to keep things alive, and we're not going to whine or cry or complain. Let's go. Let's get to work and and learn how to face it and learn how to face the challenges, and let's go. And there's certainly some challenges with it, but our guys have accepted it. And I think that's the main thing that we've talked about from a challenge accepted standpoint with our parents in football and our guys in football. But relaying that just to the same thing, right? When you're walking down the hall, it's like, hey, there's some paper laying on the floor, pick it up. Right. Challenge accepted. Let's go. I can do this. Let's go. Yep. We're all in this thing together.
We're going to be a community.
Yeah, let's go. And, does it happen overnight? No. But little by little, I think you can put a brick here and a brick there, and and hopefully we can stack enough bricks to make a good wall.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, what is some ways that you might encourage parents and community members to be involved with Bomber Nation?
Well, anything, from an activity standpoint, right? Whether it's music, speech, drama, sports, volunteering to read a book in class. Anything that you can possibly do. I think when it comes to parents and the school, we've got to be an intertwined system, right? Because it takes a village to raise a student. I look back at my kids, right? And it's not just me.
No.
It's grandma, grandpas, aunts, uncles.
It's a lot of
their
people
classmates,
involved.
their teachers, right?
Yeah.
Their teammates, their coaches. All those people come into play such a huge role in the impact of that student. I think the more you get your students involved, the more your parents get involved. It's just 100% positive.
Agreed.
It's just hard to say that's not a good setting.
Right.
Now you can make it a poor setting, but if you're in it for the right reasons, that's just a good equation for positivity and success.
Agreed. Paul, is there anything else you want our constituents or listeners here to know about you?
I don't know. They're probably tired of listening to me already. Like I said, in my brain, it's going great.
I think it's going just fine.
But who knows?
Well, Paul, thanks for taking some time to kind of tell us about yourself. We've got more coming up here in just a minute. Stick with us. United Agronomy's mission is to improve the lives of their patrons and their families by offering data-driven solutions that fit each individual acre. From its start with a Berthold office location in the year 2000, United Agronomy has grown quickly to 4 locations in Berthold, Ross, Parshall, and Williston, and continues to expand their partnerships and offerings. From soil testings and crop scouting to custom spray application and fertilizer delivery and more, United Agronomy offers you the farming solutions you need to get the most out of every acre while exemplifying our small town values. Make sure to visit their website or give them a call to find out how they can help you. United Agronomy is a proud sponsor of the Bomber Nation. Thanks for joining us today on the Bomber Buzz. Make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast so that you can be notified of all of our new episodes. We hope that you have a great week. Taking us out today is the Berthold Band. Fly high, Bombers.